You hit it, the number you've been working toward. Your first $100,000 in net worth. It felt significant. It was significant, you told people. You felt like something had shifted, like you'd crossed a threshold into a category of people who have money. And then, somewhere between the celebration and the next month, something unexpected happened. The number didn't feel like as much as you thought it would. Your life didn't change. Your stress didn't disappear. Your sense of security didn't crystallize the way you imagined it would when you were working toward it. You weren't doing anything wrong. You just hit a net worth milestone without understanding what it actually meant and discovered that the numbers don't work the way the financial narratives suggest they do. There are 3 net worth thresholds that actually matter, not because they're magical, but because crossing them changes your relationship to money in ways that are profound and specific. And the gap between hitting a number and understanding what that number actually means is where most people get confused about whether they've actually built something real or just accumulated digits. Today we go through those 3 milestones, what they are, what they actually mean, and what changes in your life when you cross them. Milestone 1. The amount that covers your annual expenses. The first meaningful milestone is simple but profound. Net worth equal to 1 year of your living expenses. Let's say your annual expenses are $60,000. Your first real milestone is $60,000 in net worth, not $1 million, not $500,000, $60,000. And at first this sounds trivial. But the moment this number clicks, something shifts. Before you reach it, every dollar of net worth is a trophy, evidence of discipline, proof that you're doing something right, but it's not functional. If you lose your job, the net worth doesn't help you much. You need income. The net worth is just a scorekeeping number. The moment your net worth exceeds 1 year of expenses, it becomes functional. It becomes a bridge. You lose your job. You don't panic. You have 1 year to find another one. Not stressed, desperate panic. Not forced to take the first thing that appears. 1 year to make a thoughtful decision about what comes next. That year of runway changes everything about your relationship to your job, to your career, to your sense of security. It changes your negotiating power. It changes your ability to take calculated risks. It changes whether you tolerate a bad situation or make a move. 1 year of expenses doesn't make you wealthy. It makes you stable. And for most people living paycheck to paycheck, that stability is the first real financial milestone. Not accumulation. Stability, the ability to absorb disruption without immediate catastrophe. The emotional shift when you cross this threshold is larger than the number suggests. You've stopped being vulnerable to single bad months. You have a buffer. You have time. Milestone 2. The amount that generates living expenses. The second milestone is when your investments produce enough income to cover your annual expenses. Still with $60,000 annual expenses. Your second real milestone is somewhere around 1.2 to 1.5 million in invested assets, enough that the yield covers your expenses. At a 4% withdrawal rate, 1.5 million produces $60,000 annually. At a 3% withdrawal rate, it's 2 million. This is the threshold where something fundamental shifts. You have crossed from needing income to being able to live from investment returns. This doesn't mean you have to stop working. Many people cross this threshold and keep working because they want to, not because they need to. But the need has been satisfied. You could stop, you could choose differently. The psychological shift here is different from the first milestone. The first milestone is stability. This threshold is optionality. Below this number, your career is not optional. Work is not optional. You need the income. Your decisions are constrained by that need. You take the job that pays. You stay in situations you might leave if you had a choice. You make financial decisions based on what's available, not what's optimal. Above this number, work is optional, not in the sense that you have nothing to do, but in the sense that continuing to do what you're doing is a choice you're making. not a requirement you're forced into. That optionality changes everything. The quality of work you do improves because you're not desperate. Your career decisions improve because they're based on what you actually want, not what you need. Your negotiating power in any situation improves because walking away becomes possible. This threshold is financial independence, and it's much lower than most people think. It's not rich, it's not even wealthy by cultural standards. It's just enough that work is optional. For most people in most places, that number is somewhere between 1 and 3 million depending on expense level, location, and withdrawal rate assumptions. Milestone 3. Enough that the growth exceeds your expenses. The third milestone is when your net worth grows faster than you can spend it. This happens when investment returns exceed your annual expenses. Let's stay with 1.5 million in invested assets producing for percent returns annually $60,000. Your expenses are also $60,000. You're in equilibrium. The growth rate equals your expense rate. You're maintaining but not really accumulating. Now imagine your net worth is $3 million. At 4%, that's $120,000 annually. Your expenses are still $60,000. The growth is $60,000. Your net worth grows by $60,000 every single year without you adding anything, without you changing anything, without any additional effort. At $5 million, the growth is $100,000 while expenses are $60,000. You're accumulating $40,000 annually just from market returns. At $10 million, the growth is $400,000 while expenses are $60,000. You're accumulating $340,000 annually without lifting a finger. This is the threshold where wealth becomes self-sustaining and genuinely accelerating. You've crossed from I have enough to live on investment returns to my investments produce more than I can spend and the excess compounds into faster growth. This is where the really wealthy operate. They've hit a critical mass where the mathematics of compounding are working faster than consumption can work. Every year they get wealthier without trying. The machine is running on its own. The psychological shift here is different again. It's not stability. It's not optionality. It's transcendence from the money game. Below this threshold, you're still in the game. Still thinking about expenses, about returns, about whether you're accumulating fast enough. Your mind is engaged with money. Above this threshold, the game is playing itself. The money is accumulating independent of your effort or attention. You can think about other things. You're not worried about returns or market performance or whether you're doing enough. The machine is doing it for you. Why these three matter more than arbitrary numbers. Most people talk about financial milestones in round numbers. Your first 100,000, your first million, your first 10 million. These round numbers feel significant culturally. They sound important, but they don't map to anything real in your actual financial life. The three milestones we're discussing actually map to functional changes. 1 year of expenses, stability. You have a buffer. You can absorb disruption. Investment income equals expenses. Optionality. Work becomes a choice, not a requirement. Investment growth exceeds expenses, abundance. Wealth accumulates independent of effort. These three thresholds represent the actual turning points in financial life, not cultural milestones, functional ones. And the number that represents each threshold is different for every person because it depends on your expenses, your asset allocation, your assumed returns, your risk tolerance. Someone with $20,000 annual expenses crosses the income covers expenses threshold at $400,000 of invested assets. Someone with $200,000 annual expenses crosses it at $5 million. The absolute numbers are different. The functional meaning is identical. The thing nobody tells you about these thresholds. Here's what's not discussed when people talk about net worth. The emotional experience of crossing these thresholds is often disappointing relative to the anticipation. You hit the first threshold 1 year of expenses in net worth. You thought you'd feel wealthy. You feel slightly more secure. That's it. You hit the second threshold. Investment income covers expenses. You thought this would feel like arriving. It often just feels like a number crossing another number. You're still the same person. You still worry about money. Nothing obviously changed. You hit the third threshold. Growth exceeds expenses. Again, you thought something fundamental would shift. It does, but gradually over time, not in a moment. The disappointment comes from expecting a moment of transformation when hitting a threshold produces a gradual shift. You don't feel rich. You feel like you did yesterday. But the constraints have actually changed. This is important to understand going in because hitting these milestones is not about feeling. It's about function. The function changes. The feelings change slowly. What actually changes when you understand this? If you understand these 3 milestones and what they mean, your approach to net worth building changes. You stop treating net worth as a scorekeeping number and start treating it as a functional measure of options. You don't just want to hit some arbitrary number. You want to hit the milestone that produces the specific functional shift you're seeking. If you're unhappy in your job, the relevant milestone is not hit 1 million. It's hit enough that you have 1 year of expenses in net worth that changes your negotiating power. That's achievable. That changes your situation. If you're working because you need to but would rather not, the relevant milestone is not get rich. It's hit investment income equals expenses. That's functional independence. That's achievable and clear. If you want genuine abundance, the relevant milestone is growth exceeds expenses. That's different for everyone but achievable over time. By mapping to functional milestones instead of arbitrary numbers, you make the goal concrete in ways that matter. Net worth is just a number until it crosses a threshold where it becomes something functional. 1 year of expenses. You have a bridge. You have stability. You can absorb disruption without catastrophe. Investment income equals expenses. Work becomes optional. Your life becomes your choice rather than your necessity. Growth exceeds expenses. The machine runs itself. Wealth accumulates independent of effort. These 3 thresholds are where the real shifts happen. Not because the numbers are special, because they represent functional changes in what's available to you. You don't need to be a billionaire to cross these thresholds. You don't need to be rich. You need to be clear about which shift you're aiming for and what number represents it in your specific situation. The moment you understand which milestone matters to you, building toward it becomes concrete, not abstract, not culturally defined, real. That clarity understanding which functional threshold you're actually working toward changes everything about how you approach wealth building. Because you're not building a number anymore. You're building a specific kind of freedom. And that's a number worth calculating exactly.